we'll figure it out as we go. I'm going for it. Hey everybody, Jon Bobrow here. Welcome back to another one of our Blinks Lunchtime live streams. So exciting to see all of our regulars joining. Hello to Lee and Bruno, I see already on the stream. And anybody else joining in from our Kickstarter or recently received Blinks, welcome to the community. This is every Thursday at 1 p.m., one of my favorite times of the week. I get to share something new about Blinks, hopefully something you can enjoy at home. And today we're doing something, once again, a little special. I've got a longtime friend of mine joining us, and really I think this is a treat for our whole developer community. And so I think without any further ado, I'm going to switch to camera 2 here and introduce Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan, say hello.
Hi everyone.
Thanks so much for hopping on our live stream today. I kind of roped you into this. I feel like for our audience, I can maybe share a little bit about why I've invited you on, or would you like to share that?
Sure. I think Jonathan and I, we had a conversation maybe about a year ago. And we're talking about just, stuff we can collaborate on the Blinks community, around stuff around Blinks. And we talk about what if we can have this tool online, people can write, program the games and testing the game in a simulator, and before they compile and run on the actual Blink block tile. I think that's the idea we had, and I was like, because I've done a lot of front-end web development, I think that web is a tool I pick up to do. And so I started maybe, I think the first thing I worked on is like, how do I simulate this game in a digital world, right? The game like have such a unique character, you can snap two together, and you can break them, and you can. There are all the LEDs like in a spatial space. So one thing, the first thing I started working on, like how maybe I can use some kind of like 2D physics engine to simulate kind of like a move things around in a space. So I start with like Matter.js, if you know front-end dev a little bit. It's like a 2D physics engine. And so quickly I ran into this like issues about you only have one mouse in web browsers, and Jonathan's talking about how can we make it more intuitive to let user to make blinks move around, to break them, to recombine them, and still get the feeling of the original physical kind of characters. So that kind of was a big challenge for me to work on. And we end up doing is you draw a line in empty space, you kind of like chop them out with a line to separate them, and you move them around to connect them.
So let me give a little bit of context for some folks, just because I think, this is like one of my favorites. So this is kind of where it started, was like, there are some really interesting challenges when thinking about how to represent something physical on a screen, whether it be a mouse or an iPad or, so let me actually, I think I should change over to the simulator itself. And so if you're part of our developer forum, this has been shared on our developer forum, and we'll be following up more on this. It's definitely, it's interesting. I'd say this is a work in progress in the sense that there's, like, Xiaoyan went above and beyond and built something that I think everybody watching the stream will really enjoy checking out. Is so amazing that it's like, it's like, okay, let's figure out exactly the best way to use it. And I think that that's what you, the community, are going to be able to help us with here. but I want to just show, let's see, let me make sure I don't, there we go. So this is the simulator, and we have some code written over here. And I feel like whenever I write code, I do like a if button down, set color red, else, I think everybody loves my live coding skills, set color blue. Okay, and so if I run this, here's the blinks, and if I press down on one of them, it goes red. But what you were just talking about is how do you split them off? Because you can't grab a blink. You need to be able to drag them around. And so how do you deal with that? And you created this super cool tool that allows you to attach blinks into a group, but also split them up by kind of, I feel like I liken it to Fruit Ninja. And I feel like, it's definitely, it's definitely different than, let me switch over to here, where it's like, okay, you just grab them, and lots of the games have these elements, but it feels pretty good. I feel like it's quick to pick up. I'm actually curious if anybody in the stream has played with it yet. And let's see. I'm curious to know if anybody's played with it, and also we'll figure out kind of what are the ways in which you're using it. But so this was one of the first challenges that you tackled, was how do you interact with them on screen?
Right.
And so, sorry, I kind of backed up a little bit just so everybody could have a chance to see the simulator. Yeah. And maybe I'll leave it up on that screen so I can, would you like to take me through the simulator a little bit so I can kind of show?
Sure. So we built the simulator first, right? If you look at the screen on the right side of the panel, that's where the blinks shows up. That's the simulator. And later on, we add this code editor, which is on the left side panel. So the code editor is you're writing a C++ style code, which is the one you normally write in Arduino. And then you can save them and run. There are also a shortcut. You can do Apple as a quick shortcut to save and run.
Nice.
Yeah. So the idea is when you testing your games, you're writing on your left side, and you can change the how message is sending around, how do you control the LED buttons, and then you save them right immediately on the right side panel, right? And you can play with them. On the top right corner, we also have a little utility toolsets, and where you can load an empty template, or you can actually load a tutorial, which we copied from the forum. And there are also, Jonathan, if you can click on that.
It looks like it doesn't show the drop down when I open it, because it's capturing the window. But I just loaded, for example, Learn Communication.
Right. So when you can load different, games we already save on this editor, and you can pick there's a slider underneath it called blinks number, and you can pick how many blinks you want to show up in this simulated world. And then you click run code, right? And every time you make a change, you want to click the run code. And there's this debug mode for people who want to poke around to see how the things are working. We actually do a lot of drawings to help us visually to debugging how things are grouped, how things are connected, and what's the state of current is is this group moving? Is this group like under click? Are you dragging them around? If you open up the console, it actually shows all the logs we are supposed to do. We are normally used to debug this code. So that's a brief introduction about the simulator.
Yeah, and I love seeing, so like, I think that one of the things you were talking about, hover versus, so there's some real subtle, with debug mode off, when I hover over the edge of a blink, you see all of the edges turn this red.
Right.
And that means I've got the group.
Right.
And then if I hover over the middle of the button, you'll see that only one of them has an outline of red. And when you click on it in the middle, and I guess in this demo, the click doesn't really do anything. So maybe I'll change to, what's a good example with a berry? So I'll load up berry, and I can load it up with 6 blinks and then run code. And so if I hover over the middle, it highlights one of them, and then I can click, and of course, it works as expected. And I think this, like that visual indicator, it's also kind of modeled after the way pressing on the center of a blink registers the click. And yeah, I just thought that worked out really well. It's nice, and I find it pretty easy to be able to not play my games, but actually test them real quickly. Like while I'm developing, it's like, cool. Like, I'm sure, it's like, I imagine, for people looking to play test the games, when you play test the game, it's like you put it on the blinks and you're able to actually get people to play them. But here it's like, as I'm just iterating on code, I'm like, oh, let me try out a new animation or something like that.
Right.
And I feel like we can do just about everything I'd want to do with the blinks. I might have thrown one off screen. I feel like it's also worth showing. I wonder if it's worth showing, and I should ask to see. Let me pop in and see the comments. What's happening in our comments? So Jonathan West says he's totally stoked for this. Bruno, awesome. Yeah, and I think Bruno saw it. It's something that he's been following on the GitHub, and I saw a recent post like, anyone else following this? And we hadn't announced anything like this yet. Bruno's asking, does it do any compiler-like parsing of the code? So that's a cool question. I think this is a fun thing to talk about.
So we don't have a real compiler, I have to say, because I think we did this. So compiling, I think, can be a really big challenge right now, because blinks also have some like helper functions on its own. It also uses a lot of functions from Arduino library. So if we're really doing a C++ compiler, we have to go all the way to those, including all those libraries, and then compile them to JavaScript, right? And to show in this simulator. So what I did is really very simple, definitely going to be a lot of bugs in the future, I write all these helpers people normally using Arduino and blinks replicate the same function in JavaScript. And then I did this very fast way to use regex to literally go line by line to replace all this syntax into JavaScript friendly. It actually works pretty well, and that's why you don't really need to wait too much time. I think it takes about like 20 milliseconds mostly to compile the code and to run it. So far, so good. I think the problem, one big issue we are facing right now is if you have something like a typo or something wrong in the syntax, it's hard. We don't know how to trace them right now. I think that's something we are probably going to work in the future to add some debugging ability. I mean, in a way, we still can do this in Regix in my mind. But yeah, but like if there's other suggestion, should we compile the C++ code into JavaScript? Yeah, I'm all totally open for that.
And I think this is, I'm not sure if anybody watching is familiar with, there we go, I just solved a puzzle 101 while you were sharing that. So there was a project in 2012 called Siftio, and there's a really awesome documentation of the way that a coder, Mika, I'm blanking on their name, full name, but I follow Mika's work, Scanlime, if you're looking for some really cool, just hardware, hardware media artwork. They do such a good job of just sharing sharing all of the details of designing interactive hardware. But when she was at Siftio, she was building a simulator for this hardware, and there's all this documentation on just how much went into actually not simulating but emulating, I believe, what was happening on the hardware. And I'm not sure, I think that one of the things when we talked about this was I was like, I don't think you want to get too into the weeds about emulating everything because it's so quick and easy to load up on the Blink. But I do think, to your point, it will be nice and helpful to catch some of those syntax errors. Right. And additionally, I feel like one of the things that we've talked about is, well, we can talk a little about it more, but I think there's some other ways to avoid syntax errors down the road.
Right.
Let me see. I'm going to pop back into the comments and see what else. Let's see. First of all, lots of people saying just awesome work on this. Cool. Bruno has mentioned that there's a Blockly thing that could be useful. Very relevant. And let's see. Yes. And Blockly is, in fact, I believe, is built by Google, but originated and kind of was has some origins in Scratch developed at the Media Lab. So I think that if anybody has poked around with that, I feel like this is actually a good time to talk about this as well. I feel like you started working on this project, and I think maybe you can also share a little bit. You did some work on this while at Recurse, right?
Right. I started probably around November. I joined Recurse in December for 1 week. I joined the smallest batch, which is a 1 week session. By that time, I was working on the how do I group all this Blink into one group, and how do I separate them. So that's the challenge I was working on. So if you turn on the debug mode, you see all this kind of like a recasting lines on the screen, like spikes showed up in the graphic when you break them and rejoining them. So that's something came out of Recurse. Like I was talking with different people, what's the best way to do, and one it's come out of discussion. Like maybe you can do some kind of like a recasting to know which side is connected, going to be connected, and then you draw this kind of like a shed, like a ghost, like where you're gonna place them, and when you release the finger, it's snap together. So I think this whole that part interaction came out of Recurse. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges back then because also we need to figure out when you snap, what the angle change, right? And also when you drag them around, normally in your physical space, you should be able to rotate a single block, right? With a mouse, we made this like a slightly little physics simulation. If you drag on the far end, you can turn this block easily. But if you drag in closer to the center of the whole group, you actually doesn't rotate that much. So that little small stuff is all baked into our physical simulations. Yeah.
And so I think this is really, like, and playing with it's a ton of fun. And I think that seeing the games, like right now I'm running Dark Ball, and being able to, I think I mentioned earlier, prototyping animations. Maybe this is another thing I feel like I'd like you to share is the way they look, like the way the lights look is it's pretty close. So like I'll switch camera views real quickly. So here we go. So here are my blinks on the table, and of course mine are a little bit blown out here. I've got Puzzle 101 running, but here, let me load up Puzzle 101 on the simulator. So let's see. So we've got here in the simulator, and then here in real life, and then I'll double click, and then cool. So this is, let's see. Aha. Oh, this is more difficult than I thought it would be. There we go. Okay. So this is in real life, and then if I switch over to the simulator, there we go. So I'll double click. There we go. And so the real life and this, like, they look quite, pretty darn close. And yeah, how did you go about doing that?
The idea when I was working on this, try to simulate as real as possible, and simulating LED color. I mean, most easy way to do it just draw like solid, like a shape with a color. But to try to simulate the LED, you have to think about how it fade over the distance over the space. So I was using shader to achieve that, so to draw this gradient color. And then I ran into this issue, like how color should be blind. I try all these different like color blending mode and like overlays, like all these options. If you do Photoshop work, have two colors, two layers, how to blend them together. I try all these different ways and try to think about, there's one issue came out is when you look at a blink without lights on, it shows like off-white color, and when the lights on is so bright, it actually and your focus is only on the color. So if you use a camera to capture this, you have to dim the whole brightness to enable see more clearly, right? And in that way, the blinks is not white; it's actually black. So that's the idea when I simulated this. So we actually have this little like a code baked in to check the whole brightness of all the colors happening in one blink. And based on that brightness, we actually change the overlay background from a little bit white, so white color to a little bit dark color. So when there's not many colors showing around, the background actually a little bit darker, so the color actually pop out a little bit. When all the LED shows up, the background is more white, to offset your eye adjustment. So there's no perfect way to do it, because if the perfect way to do it is render every single blink whole black, and all the color are going to show up like precisely, but that's not going to be look right.
Yeah, I think you just landed on such a I think it's surprisingly good enough, I think, to really get quite a ways there. I mean, we've got a lot of developers in our forum that are awaiting their developer kits simply because, they've been consistently selling out all year. headed into 2021, we're excited. We're going to be making sure we stock up on lots of developer kits so that everybody who wants to make games can start making games. But I feel like this gives you a close enough approximation that, you know, in a game like Puzzle 101, you can think about, okay, like this is how the colors look next to each other, and this is, you know,
Right.
and then you can fine tune for brightness and other things like that.
Right. I feel like the fastest way to learn something is when you make some change and you see what happens, right? I think this way you have this code editor, you can load some examples and just simply changing the color and see what's changing in the simulation, or changing a number and see, and that way you get a faster understanding, better understanding how things are kind of like connected. Yeah, it's going to be I hope more and more people use it. It can be a good starter.
I'm looking at the comments, and so I think there's a question of, is the end goal to be as close to what an actual blink is as possible? For instance, IR transmission. So I have to say, I mean, you can answer that as well, Cheyenne. I think I have pretty strong feelings about this. My feeling is that no amount of simulation is going to result in what the actual experience of holding and playing with blinks is. And so from the thing that I've loved so much about seeing this come together is it gives you an opportunity to iterate, maybe even collaborate with people online in a way that is close enough to get ideas, the kinds of ideas going, but that, you know, there's, yeah. So how about yourself, Cheyenne? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. To answer the question, there's no IR simulation. We simulate all the functions that you're able to send in and receiving messages, like how you code in Blinks. But I think that's enough, because Blink is such a unique system and it has such its own limit, right? You can't really transmit much information, but with web there's no amount of information you can limit you can transmit, and there are no latencies. You don't have the data structure very flexible, so we only make code this way in a way just to make it work, right? And we don't want to simulate every single thing in your Blinks system. Yeah, like my intention is just never to replace the desktop game. This is just a way to help you to better design, to create more and more interesting games.
I love that, and I think one of the questions in the comments is about debug mode, or if there's a serial print. And actually, was it last night that you and I were chatting, and I was like, there was one of the games, I think Mortals.
Right.
One of the features was working incorrectly, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we should print out for this." Should I show the hack on the live stream?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me open the inspector here, and let's see if this shows up correctly. So, okay, so I'm gonna. Whoa. Here we go. Yikes. I'm not doing the best job of this. Okay, not bad. Close this down. Let me clear this. Isn't there usually just a clear button?
Yeah, it's like a circle with a cross.
Oh, there we go. Cool. So, whoa. Okay. So the thing I wanted to show is if you want to print out, so let's go ahead and load up. I think template is fine. So we did this. We did if button down. And actually, yeah, this will be cool. So because this is all JavaScript, console.log, so little different because, and actually, you know what? We should just map this from a serial print to a console.log.
Yeah.
So that you can simply write serial print. Yeah, it's actually, right. But if you do console log button down, I think that's, oh, and I have to press run.
Right.
Let's see what happens. Okay, so, oh, you can't see it.
You just have to click many times and it'll show up in the bottom right.
So I think it's hidden. There we go. So now you can see it on screen. So if whenever the button's down, you'll see that count go up. And then we could do console.log. And I'll run that, and let's see. Okay, so it's going to print button up until the end of time, and then if I press button down, oh, interesting. Oh, cool, because there's 6 of them, we're seeing all 6 reporting button up, button up, button up, and then we're seeing 1 in 6 of them printing out the button down. Cool. So yeah, I think there's some nice ways to do some printout. I think that's kind of a quick hack. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if you, was it just if I run this, I'll clear it. If it's in debug mode, yeah, it already shows in the debug. Oh, you can't fully see it on the stream. I'm almost there. There we go. So like it's logging which number blink it is and what the action was. And you even get things like the multi-click. Let's see. If I bring that up a little higher, I think everybody will see it. There we go. Yeah. So a little bit of a long response, but I think awesome. So Jonathan West says, cool. And he's learning lots of JavaScript for his job, so awesome. It'll be pretty handy. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like, you know, I feel like we've gotten to share a lot about the simulator. I, you know, urge everybody to check it out and try it out. I think, you know, it's awesome for us to know like what you like about it, what, you know, what you'd like to see there. The whole Move38 team's working on exciting features for 2021 with our Blinks hardware and for future games. But I think the simulator is going to be a really, yeah, we don't know, but I could see it being a really powerful tool for being able to, I think I saw noted in the comments, just be a scratch pad. And I wanted to give a moment to talk a little bit, I don't know, like talk a little bit, give you a chance to talk a little bit, get people, allow people to get to meet you, Xiaoyan. I think, you know, we met when I moved to New York, I believe 9 years ago. And, you know, you've been doing amazing things since. And so it's been, I feel like it's nice for you to have, I like for you to have a moment to share with people a little bit of, a little bit more of, yeah, what are some of the other things you work on? And, yeah.
Not much. I think there's so much to talk about. I don't want to waste the time.
What? How about instead of asking all the other things that you work on, because I think that I just have to say, like, it's been the coolest thing in these past 9 years. We worked together for maybe 2 right when I moved to New York, and then we were building interactive museum installations. Then you went on to build all these amazing things. Most recently, your home.
One thing I think it's a fun story to talk. When Jonathan and I would work on this projection mapping, remember this? It's happening in a theater in a Russian neighborhood, Coney Island of New York, and Brooklyn Philharmonica, I think, was playing some cartoon animation music. It looks like a background OST music for Russian cartoons in the 70s cartoon music. And Jonathan and I were working on to project some projection mapping animation on the facade of the building during the venue happened. And we actually, it's like we didn't get any permit, and we worked with Brooklyn Philharmonica, such like a DIY way, and we rented 2 U-Haul. Remember that, Johnson? We parked 1 U-Haul on one side of one corner of the street, and 2 big projectors on top of the U-Haul. We run a power generator and project all this animation on the facade of the theater. A lot of people stop by, and they really it's a content we get from those animations, and a lot of people came out and talked to us. We also have little interactive piece, back then it was Connect camera from Xbox, and you can dance in front of the camera. There are little figures drawing on the walls. Funny stories. A lot of people come here. I think those rich Russian people. They're like, "Can I hire you guys to make a birthday party for my kids?"
That's right. I think we had this huge gathering of people waiting to be the puppeteer to puppet these huge projections. I'll never forget that. I think it was the first time I used iMovie on my phone because I was. It felt like we were some underground art crew.
Right.
And oh man, it was very guerrilla style and so much fun. I feel like that was also a good excuse to get the founder of the company we were working for, Potion. We got some pretty good footage of him dancing.
Yeah. Sometimes.
But I feel like it's it's been really neat to have you on the live stream, and I feel like we got to give everybody a nice walkthrough of the simulator. Of course, I see Jonathan's already checking out your portfolio. Definitely go check out Cheyenne's portfolio. I'll drop a link to your website Cheyenne just does beautiful work across the board, and I just I think from everybody in the dev community, but me personally, a huge thanks for really creating something really stand out, and I think everybody I'm excited to be doing more things with you in the future, and I think at this point of the stream, I should give a quick update on the status of Blinks. Well, state of Blinks. Over the past couple of weeks, of course, everybody's celebrating holidays and holidays coming up. We've managed to get out lots and lots of Blinks. If you are, of course, waiting on your Blinks, we've been giving updates on the Kickstarter. Another Kickstarter update on the latest shipping status is going out. We had our plane depart on time last week on Saturday with our latest Blinks, which is exciting. And then when they arrived at the airport in Chicago, the latest updates today is that they're are delays at the airports related to passing through customs and with COVID protections. So we're waiting for the latest for the pick and pack and shipping, but we'll keep everybody posted, and really looking forward to getting Blinks in everybody's hands as soon as possible. And so if they're arriving around the holidays or just shortly after, let us know when they arrive with some posts, share some photos or video. And of course, if this is your first time watching the live stream, make sure you subscribe. I'm here every Thursday at 1 p.m. And yeah, Cheyenne, thanks so much for joining. And
thank you.
We'll see y'all next
Bye.
week.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
All right.